driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Deck. I'm your host, Josh Decker. We've got Mr. Trevor Larsen joining us today. How are you, Trevor?
Busy. Glad to be here. Easy to carve some time out for you guys. So
very much
fun to be on.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. And before we dive in, something you're going to be the first person I do this with. Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners and tell them who you are, what you do, what your title is?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'm Trevor Larsen. I'm the Director of Operations and Marketing at PowerBilt Golf. And then I also own and operate Larsen Golf Co., full Persimmons shop. And yeah, I do a lot of different things. Those are the two main ones. So.
It's kind of what I wanted to dive right into. So I was fascinated when you texted me. I asked you your title ahead of us coming on, and you told me what it was. I was like, whoa. You've combined the operation side with the marketing side. Because just in my world, those are two vastly different departments. Most of the time they don't get along with one another. So I would love to hear what your priorities were when you got the position and how you kind of make that magic happen between those departments.
Well, it's fairly simple, being that there's only two of us in this office. So we wear many hats all together. So I came about it. It'll be a year here in just a couple of weeks. It started with the Larsen golf side of it, refinishing Persimmons. I got in touch with Paul via social media. Paul's the president of PowerBilt. And I'd refinished some Persimmon woods and posted them, and he liked them. And we started talking because we're both here locally. And I started doing refinished Persimmons for PowerBilt, and he invited me to the PGA show, not this last couple weeks ago, but the year before. And I helped him run the show and doing all that, and met the owners. And it kind of came down to Paul's like, well, I want you to work for me. We're going to try and grow this. What do you want to do? And it's like, well, I'm good at the marketing and brand building side. That's where I do things. And I convinced the owners, and the owners were on board and brought me in. Like I said, a couple of weeks, it'll be a year. And running both of them is a major pain right now. It's full operations mode. And I've never stared at a computer screen this much in my life. Before this, I was a superintendent for years. So coming from outside to inside has been a big adjustment, but it's been fun. And yeah, I do definitely have to fight the marketing to operations side quite a bit, but luckily all I have to do is fight myself. So
Right.
It's not that hard.
And so for a golf club company, the operational side, that's all the manufacturing, the order placement. I mean, day in and day out, that's what you're dealing with, correct?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I run our team as well, so we've sponsored a few players. I signed a guy, Joshua Seal. He plays on the DP World Tour out in India. We've got a couple of college kids. Rowan Sadhu plays at Virginia State. Todd Dempsey is still a part of our staff. And so I run player support as well as that, and all the social medias and everything. But dealing with, orders worldwide. I mean, I'm looking, the list in front of me here is stuff to Denmark, to India, to Spain. Australia, New Zealand is what I've been dealing with all week. So dealing with worldwide shipping on top of all that, and making sure people get what they want, if we even have it. And it's a little bit of a nightmare, but we push through it. We get forward. Lots of Celsius, lots of I've got the Dunwoody on the desk here just in case. So
Right. You keep the bourbon close at all times.
It's at least out of arm's reach, so it's a little bit less of a temptation. I have to walk all the way around my desk,
Okay.
but it's there.
So the feedback, the best I can tell, I mean, I am in awe of the stuff that you guys have created and have learned more about the brand just as time has gone by. It appeared that you guys made a splash at the PGA show, and like you were saying, there's so many things that are currently out of stock. Were you expecting the response to the Atlas line and then the response to the 3D driver? Like, was that something you guys were expecting, or completely and totally out of the blue? Hey, this is incredible success. We're off and running. What did that look like?
Oh, so the year before Atlas MBs were out, they got Best in Show with the bronze, with my golf spy and everything. So we knew Atlas was going to be good. We knew the CBs were going to get a nice look. The biggest thing this year compared to the year before was the first year I was there, it was a lot of, oh, I used to play PowerBilt. My dad plays these. My grandpa played these. I played these, and blah, 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 blah. This year was a lot less of that. And it was more of what's new? What do you guys have? Oh, I saw these online. I've been wanting to hit them. I've been wanting to play them. Where can I get them? Stuff like that. So it was a completely different like vibe change at the booth this year, which is really exciting and very unexpected. The CBs were a huge smash hit. And then the drivers, the ones you alluded to there, you got the Atlas Tour driver. It's a 410 or 430 cc driver head that's fully 3D printed titanium. Those ones were so close to not being at the show that we had them shipped to our condo in Florida. So
Whoa.
we didn't advertise it at all. Clearly beforehand, it was the first that anyone in the public, other than people who saw it on my phone or at the range or whatever, had ever seen it or even heard of it. So it was so close to not happening at all. But on Tuesday night before the show, we do a demo night typically at an indoor facility, and we busted them out, and it blew their minds. And so the biggest response was probably the mini driver. It's currently in my bag, being that I'm a Persimmon player. It seems a little bit blasphemous, but I can actually hit it. So, because I can't hit a regular driver to save my ass, including ours. So, other players have hit it and loved it, but I can't hit them. I need something smaller. So our mini's 310. It's an absolute animal. And so that one got huge response. That one's much closer to being ready for market than the big driver. We still have a lot of things in development that we're working on with it. So we're hoping that both of them will be out later this year, but definitely the mini driver.
Very cool. Well, I was about to ask if, because I didn't think that those were on the website yet. And what is it that's advantageous about the 3D printing process? I mean, I feel like everything's becoming 3D printed these days, but what is it that changes for you guys? Is it the cost to manufacture drops tremendously? Like, what is it that makes that such an appealing product to take to market?
Honestly, it's something different. It's, no one else is making a 3D printed driver right now. Of course, Cobra's doing irons, and there's a Japanese company that did a 3D printed driver, but it's like $1,200, or not even 12, it's like $2,500 or something like that. When it comes to the manufacturing cost, it's a little bit more expensive, in fact, but not anything outrageous. I could be wrong on that too, but I remember when we saw the cost of it, we were pretty astounded. We were shocked that it was where it was. So, but it's kind of like the customization of it. The driver's got floating grates on it. It's all for visual, but it's just something cool and different. And then whenever we get it completely dialed in, and for our players, if they need weight somewhere else, you don't have to rely on rack glue or anything like that. We can, with a couple clicks away, we can add weight in the driver or remove it and change it around internally, and then they can just print the head and send it out. So it's a lot of customization thing like that. And it's something new. Everyone comes out with a new driver every 25 seconds.
Right.
We haven't come out with one in, I don't know, 20 years, at least, it's directly out of our office. And so just something cool and different. And it's just a gorgeous looking driver. There's no posts of it really anywhere officially. But you can find it.
What's it going to retail for?
No idea, but it'll be comparable to all the other OEMs and everything like that, maybe even a little less.
Okay. It's really cool. I mean, just then the cutaway image of it, I don't know if that's what it's going to look like on the inside once it's done. I would imagine it is, with kind of the spider web looking of all the pieces. that are holding it in place. But yeah, a fascinating image to say the least, what it looks like.
Yeah, that the print of it itself has got more structural things to it. So a lot of it gets cut away.
Okay.
There's kind of like a honeycomb on the crown that gets cut away and gets replaced with a carbon top. The interior's got a couple of things that just hold it that get cut away, and then clearly everything on the external side of it gets cut out and smoothed down and painted and all that kind of good stuff. So it doesn't have anything wicked when it comes to technology, interior, or anything like that. You know, it's a fairly, I don't want to say standard, it diminishes what it could be, but you know, there's nothing out of this world new or anything old about it. It's kind of the perfect blend of classic to modern.
That's very cool. So, and correct me here if I'm wrong, but it feels like that PowerBilt has been kind of resurrected. Like I remember the brand when I was like my dad having the clubs, and there's obviously like 100-year history of PowerBilt and the clubs being on tour and all of that. What brought about the brand kind of being brought back to life? What spawned that? Was it someone just wanting to do it, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, really, all credit of that goes to Paul Vo, the president. He's been here for about 6 years. A couple years ago, he decided to develop with Todd Dempsey these MBs. Those are the first Atlas ones that came out, and it kind of caught fire, and like a little small fire, but it put a lot of fuel into his fire and got him going and starting to create and develop. David Martin, our designer, both of them have worked together for years, and they've been creating a lot of really cool things. And so it came about just with the spark of the public when those MBs came about. And then when I came on, I just helped expose it more. You know, we grew from 3,000 followers on Instagram to like almost 15,000 now, and that's within the year. So,
Wow.
you know,
Not
just getting more eyes, and yeah, it's been fun to be able to do that and just interact with people on social, and then doing the shows, and then we try and do things around here locally in North County, San Diego, and we use Super Swings. He's down in San Diego. Javier is a phenomenal club builder, and he's got a full studio and hitting bays and gym and everything. And so he's our builder for our custom stuff, and we send our players down there, and just building a network of people that play it. So I mean, I've sent stuff out to the Gimme Golf guys in St. Louis, and I get texts all the time from them about how good it is and how much they like it. And, you know, we got Ryan O'Mara at Wildwood playing the CBs now, and he called me, which, I mean, Ryan and I are good friends, but if Ryan's calling me, there's something urgent.
Okay.
And he called me and was like, dude, I just played Pumpkin and these clubs are ridiculous. He's like, what did you just give me? And it's like, oh, you know, I'm just giving Harry his wand there, buddy, you know? So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun dealing that and getting these clubs into people's hands and having them talk about it, and then just kind of poking around, because I mean, I literally haven't spent $1 on marketing
What?
when it comes to ads or anything like that. Not a penny. So
Wow.
I mean,
That includes the growth of just the social media like you were referring to.
I mean, so we've used product and giveaways. So I mean, you're technically spending money there and taking out of inventory, but when it comes to, you know, a media marketing bill, it's zero. So that's something that we're hoping to be able to change and grow and be able to get more eyeballs on more things, because everyone knows eyeballs are potential customers. So um, we don't need to get into boring marketing strategy, but you know, it'd be cool to be able to do that. But where we're at, I mean, we're cooking, we're firing on all cylinders, doing what we can with what we got, and I don't think a darn person's upset with it. So
Well, and it's a beautiful product too. Like we're all familiar with the logo, or the brand at least. And then like today I was looking at your wedges, which I'm probably going to order some from you because I need new wedges anyway. But
Robbie can vouch for those wedges.
okay, good to know. But the black and the copper and the raw, like I'm kind of stuck. I'm mentally blocked because I don't know which color or which finish I want to go with because they all look incredible.
Yeah, I play the raw, and I have a set of gunmetals as well. So it's a special finish on it. I don't want to give away our industry secret, but it doesn't wear out very quickly. I mean, on the irons themselves for the bronze, it took Todd Dempsey over 9 months and, you know, a PGA Tour level amount of hitting to finally wear through them.
Whoa.
So it's a super durable finish. By no means is it bulletproof. It's gonna eventually wear out, but I have played my black irons for over a year, like almost a year now, and I still don't have a scratch on them. And it's pretty impressive compared to a lot of the other finishes in the industry that, you hit it on the mat a few times and the black's gone or whatever. And the bronzes, they kind of patina with it. They end up getting a little bit brighter because they have this kind of a dark brush over it. So they get a little bit brighter and then they start to patina a little bit and get neutral, and the finishes stick really well. They spin like crazy. They're super controllable. They're all one piece forged Japanese steel. So, if you wanted them stronger or weaker or whatever, you can bend them. And I've played them on every turf that you could probably think of, whether it be super soupy wet out in Tennessee or really firm and tight in Nebraska, to every San Diego condition, sands, firm sand, soft sand. I love them. And that's not a sales pitch. I love these wedges. I don't think I'd ever play anything else.
Okay, that's good to know. This became all of a sudden an expensive recording, but that's fine.
I think you know a guy.
Yeah. So is there anything on the horizon for you guys? Obviously, we talked about the 3 driver and the mini driver that are going to come out down the road, but anything else that is in the hopper for PowerBilt that y'all are working on that you can share?
Nothing that I can really share. No. It's kind of a growth stage, trying to get settled in, and trying to get to a spot where we can come out with more stuff. I mean, we kind of are in a really nice spot of what we have now. Availability is kind of tough, but we've kind of partnered up with Golf Shafts America, somewhere where you can get all the products minus the drivers, because those are still being developed. But the irons and everything, we constantly dream up new ideas. But being so small, and we also have the head product line as well. So Head Golf, not the apparel, but Head Golf gear is ours as well. So we run 2 companies with 3 people. So right now we've been kind of focused on getting that house in order, and then kind of dipping back into the PowerBilt. So try not to be stretched too thin while still keeping up everything. But when we get settled back in after that PGA show, which we're still recovering from, there'll be plenty of new stuff to talk about with PowerBilt. That's going to be really exciting. Whether it be new bags, new putters, things like that. There's plenty on the horizon. I mean, I've got some sleepy product here that'll come out whenever I can get photography, but nothing that no one doesn't know about.
That's exciting. Well, at the outset, you mentioned that there's just inventory challenges. Is there a timeline on you having items back in stock that the listeners, if they're wanting to go to powerbilt.com right now, and I saw a handful of the wedges were out of stock. I think some of your iron sets were out. I know the actual wedge set was out of stock. What's timeline look like on getting those items back readily available to the public?
So, I mean, most of them are. You have to get them from Golf Shops America.
Okay.
So, and we do the same pricing as there. So it's not like you're getting a deal here or a deal there. They're right in our neighborhood here in Carlsbad as well. So, Golf Shops America's got all the CBs. They've got most of the wedges, and then they build there. So if you were to order from them, you can pick your shafts, your grips, your ferrules, all that kind of stuff. They can build them and send them out. That's something we don't do out of our office. It's too darn small, and we don't have enough time or people. So, yeah, the wedge sets have been gone for quite some time. I think I got a few here and there. If there's something that someone sees that they really, really want, if you message the page, I won't admit it on Instagram, but it's me. So, there's that. And we can typically find something, or at least guide you to the right spot. But Golf Shafts America is going to be the best place to get your PowerBilt gear. They're really good friends and good partners. And it's not something where it's like a discount, whatever, or, offloading. It's like they're our guys, they're a distributor, they're a partner, and they have everything you could want to. So like I said, you can custom build anything out of them, and they build them right there in their shop.
Very cool. That's okay. Good to know. So items are readily available, even if they're out of stock on PowerBilt.com. Golf Shops America has all of it. Okay, sweet. That's good to know. Because like I said, the stuff I was looking at, I was like, God, this looks so good. And I'm glad you mentioned the putter. because the putter is
Mhm.
so clean. The putter looks tremendous.
Well, we got 2, so which one?
I was looking at the blade.
There's 2 blades.
Okay, and then I don't know what, but it looked really, really good. And I was
So
just,
we've got the 1020. It's kind of the 8802 style, the classic, um, one-piece blade. And then we did a putter collab with Weston Mahan, which I'm sure you've heard of, out of Utah.
Mhm.
And that blade is silly. And the response to it's been crazy. You've had people like, "Oh, I don't roll a blade," they're blah, and they roll it and they're like, "Oh." Like, yeah, dude. I mean, things are built with a purpose. They're not just to look pretty. Things were very well designed. We worked closely with Weston, Paul, and David. They all put together the design together. I kind of got to chirp in on little things. I just take pictures of things and put them on the internet. Those guys do all the math and weigh and all that kind of stuff. And when the product comes in, I'll go out and play it, and that's my input. But it was a one and done project for that putter. Like, we did the first design, we got the sample, and it was perfect.
wow.
So that was fun to be able to do and bring that out and have the public love it, and lose their minds over it. And we did a couple five hand stamped ones that I sent off to Weston. He stamped them himself and finished them and did all that. Though there's only one left. I don't know how it's still there. I think it's just because people are still in off season in less fortunate parts of the world. And it's been super fun to be able to work with him. I've known Weston for years, and so being able to bring him into PowerBilt and do this kind of little project's fun. So we hope to do a couple more of those, or branch out with other, smaller putter designers and things like that as well, and kind of collabs. So like we really like to bring in, we did like Mackenzie bag stuff, Roscoe Golf, his head covers. We like to do collabs with a little bit smaller companies like us, because we have the perception of a huge company, but we're really not. We've got the big name, and the products to back it, but we're still growing. So being able to do that with other companies like that and really mesh together this golf world is super fun for us, and that's what we want to continue to be able to do, and make cool things that you can't really get anywhere else. Then once you get them and then they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone, yeah.
Kind of keep them limited, keep it special, and make people be able to brag about their golf bag a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the amazing advantages of being nimble. One of the questions I had for you is how many full-time employees does PowerBilt have?
3.
Oh my gosh, really? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. There's 3 of us, and one of them is currently in Vietnam for a while. So,
Okay.
and he's based in Michigan, so he's not even in the office. So there's technically only 2 of us here in the office every day.
That's
So,
incredible. Well, I mean, if I had to guess just from our conversation so far, I'd be like, okay, there's 15 or 20 of y'all, but we're
oh,
like
that
two
would
and a
be
half right now.
that'd be
That's
awesome.
insane.
Yeah. So when you order something from PowerBilt.com, as long as it's not one of the package sets, you get a hat or some wedges or whatever, you'll get a handwritten note. It's me and my terrible handwriting,
Okay.
and I box it, I ship it, I drive it to the post office. It's for lack of a better term, it's still very mom and pop, but I mean,
Yeah.
we really wouldn't have it any other way. We get to do things the way that we want. And, we get to make some of the best product out on the market and still float around,
That's cool. That's you got to be having fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, we shoot the shit all day, and, we'll derail most of the time, but, we got a little putting mat. We'll start throwing putts across the office or whatever. There's a driving range not far. We get everything done, as best we can, but, there's still some full off time for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I want to talk about Larsen Golf, your own business. But before we do that, your world and how you grew up in golf, the introduction to the game. How did Trevor Larsen come to love the game of golf like we all do, and your path to being a superintendent? Can you tell that story?
Yeah, I mean, it's all family. My grandparents played, my dad played. So I mean, I grew up on a golf course. I grew up playing since I could walk. But as a kid, I focused on baseball. Golf wasn't cool then.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Napa, California.
Okay.
So Bay Area light, as I like to say. We're not Bay Area. We're not quite Northern California, because the rest of my family, where I learned how to play, was up in Humboldt County, way, way north California, where everyone but me still lives, basically. And, I grew up playing at Willow Creek Golf Course in Willow Creek, California, which I could be willing to bet that maybe 2 people have heard of. And we've played up there. It was Bigfoot at the time, and then they changed it, and then it got sold to some weed farmers, and then they went under and they couldn't grow any of the things, and the people who lived around it hated it. And now the tribes bought it property back, and they're hoping to build a golf course again. It was supposed to open this year, but now it's not gonna, it's a whole thing. So Bigfoot is a really cool spot, a really special thing. And at my house, I have one of the yardage placards from when they first closed down the course that I got from my grandma. And so I grew up playing. I played freshman year of high school, but then just focused on baseball. And then sometime around 22-ish, picked up the sticks again, and fell back in love with it. Now ever since, it's been full go, and getting into being a superintendent. My cousin, who lives up in Oregon, he's the assistant superintendent at Riverside Country Club currently. He's been doing it for years, and I just wanted to find a way to play more free golf. And I've got a job raking bunkers to be able to just play. And it was really cool and fascinating. And it sucked waking up so early, but you get off at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you go play 18 and go
Right.
home. It's like, okay, that's not bad. And just kind of got good at it, was paying attention. Um, started at I started at Poppy Ridge in Livermore, so I was driving like 80 miles one way to get to work.
Okay.
It was just for a couple of months, but it was an intro. And then I got at Spring Creek Country Club in Ripon, California. She was my girlfriend at the time, but now she's my wife. We were living in Modesto, so Ripon's really close. I was with Spring Creek for about a year. And then we were going to move out to New York. I'd gotten offered the assistant position at Fenway Country Club in Scarsdale, New York.
Okay.
And then COVID hit. And so that was 2020. And they called and they're like, hey, we really want you for this job, but this whole thing just happened. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if you'll have a job. We don't know if we can stay open. Like, we don't want you to move across the country to not have a job. And it's like, well, thank you.
Right.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And then a couple of days, I was kind of bummed, obviously, one, because of what was happening, and then two, just kind of missing out on a sick opportunity. And then a couple of days later, El Caballero Country Club in Los Angeles came ringing. He said, hey, we got this big project coming up. We're redoing the whole course with Robert Trent Jones, or Reese. And it was his dad's course. Now he's redoing it, and we need an assistant. Did you want to come down and interview? I was like, yeah. So I hopped in the car. It's like 4 hours driving down for an interview. And my wife loves the beach, so she was kind of happy about the move to LA, and I got that job. So we were there for a year redoing that course. And right about a month or two before it was going to reopen, I got an offer for a superintendent job in San Diego. And so, I got from bunker raker to superintendent in about 5 years, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Meteoric rise.
Dumb luck and just sheer will, I guess. But I got an offer with the little 9-hole HOA course to be the superintendent, and so we moved to Oceanside, and we've been here ever since, basically. So I was there for a couple years, and then went over to Reedy Creek. It was an 18-hole par 3 course. I was there for a year. That place completely killed my love of turf and everything like that. Whole list of problems. It was no one individually. It was just the situation we were all in. And then PowerBilt was able to come to fruition and be able to come over here and do this. And this is something I'd much rather do than being a superintendent anymore, So golf has basically ingrained my life since I retired officially from baseball, and that's all we ever really do now, man. It's
Right.
I've lined up 4 golf trips this year already, so it's pretty lucky. And being able to know the people that I do and be able to get the opportunities I get. I'm super lucky and grateful for all those, and it's been a whole lot of fun.
So those early days of playing, I know you have an immense passion for persimmons. In the
Mhm.
early days of your playing, when you were young little Trevor Larsen, were you playing persimmons back then, or were you playing steelhead drivers or metal drivers like we all are accustomed to today?
Yeah, I was playing literally the steelhead.
Okay.
I had
The
the
cowboy
cowboy big
cowboy?
bird, the steelheads,
The
had
warbird?
those. Yep. I don't honestly remember many of my clubs back in the day. I mean, I know the first set of really cool clubs I ever bought were the Titleist ZBs, those blades, and I got them for a killer deal, and it was a terrible idea because I sucked, and I grabbed these little tiny blades and whatever. I still have them. They still have the same grips from high school, which is crazy,
Wow.
but I don't play them anymore. Um, but no, I didn't really get into persimmons until coming to Oceanside, and it was Goat Hill Park, where if you want the record at Goat, you have to establish it with persimmon, and I grabbed one and hit it. It was great. I mean, I played a couple when I was at Spring Creek from time to time because it was funny. I actually came across a video of it not too long ago, just peppering one down the middle, and was like, I guess that was really the first time I started playing it. And I just always hit them better, and so at Goat, I grabbed a few, and then my dad was a cabinet maker, so I grew up in a wood shop. I did finish work living up in Humboldt for a company called Larsen Hines. We built bars for people all over the world. The last bar I worked for was for the owner of Walmart's daughter. It was an $80,000 bar
Wow.
that was 6 feet by 7 feet. It was insane. And so I did the finish work for them. So all the detail sanding, all the staining, everything to where I mess up, it ruins a potentially $100,000 project.
Right.
So did that, and so after that, I had these persimmons I was playing with, and they were kind of beat up, and I was like, well, screw it, I can get a sander, and see what I can do, and refinished them. They came out nice, and people were like, oh, can you do mine? Can you do mine? Can you do mine? I'm like, yeah, sure, your buddy, I'll do them. And then it was like people, like, oh, you should charge for this. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, $50, sure. And then it got more, and then I started collecting them, and I started the Larsen Golf Instagram page. It was 2 years ago, 4 days ago. So Larsen Golf's 2 years and 4 days old. And, people were following it pretty quickly and just posting stuff about refinishing. Got to do some events at Dogleg Brewing Company, just selling a ton of refinished woods. And people were messaging, oh, do you want these? My dad had these, grandpa had whatever. We'll just send them to you. I'm like, okay. And so did that. And I got linked up with a dude in Palm Springs. He was selling a full collection. He was an old refinisher and builder. So bought, I don't know, 300 clubs from him with a bunch of old grips and tools and things like that. And my garage slowly turned from, a couple of golf bags to a rack of about 400 persimmons, about 10 staff bags, a workbench, a laser engraver. And now I don't even park on my side of the garage anymore because there's so many tools. Um, my wife loves to tell that story
I'm sure
about
you
how
died.
it started with a rack for all of the extra head covers, and now it's this. So yeah, getting into the persimmons just kind of happened wildly and out of the blue, and it happened so fast. I was actually really surprised the other day when I came across. I was like, oh, it's 2 years now.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm like, okay. We've been able to do a lot of really cool things. The biggest project, quantity wise, is I refinished 120 drivers for Omni Lacosta's 60th anniversary. That was a nightmare.
So they already had
Um,
them, and they sent them to you to refinish?
I had them.
Oh, you had them. Okay.
So they bought them and I refinished them. I got to play in the tournament. That was fun. I was on the new North course where they have the NCAA
Yeah.
championships. So that was a lot of fun. It was a ton of work. The worst part of it, I mean, sanding and staining heads and measuring and all that stuff's the easy part. It's the whipping. So I whip them by hand. I don't have any kind of machine. So I literally had, I don't know, a 1/4 inch of tape wrapped around all my fingers, hand whipping these things. And after about 60 of them, my fingers would bleed. And so, uh, it was pretty brutal. A friend of mine, Dave Anderson, came in and he did 10 of them for me. He said it wasn't a lot, but those 10 really helped. um,
How long does it take
but
to whip? And for the listeners, I understand what you're talking about just because I saw your hand
Mhm.
motion. So and it's probably best to come from the expert, not me. But explain what whipping is and where that is on a persimmon club.
Yeah, so I mean, if you've seen a persimmon, it's got little, it looks like black fishing line essentially, and it's on the neck of it. And the reason it's there is it's obviously the thinnest part of the wood. It's going to get stress cracks, and they put that on there to like keep the stress cracks at bay. You know, if they're still tight, they won't crack as much or anything like that. It also keeps it from chipping and whatever. But so back in the day, they used it's, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's basically a thick fishing line
Okay.
is what was used. Now, what I use and what Todd Dempsey uses is like a wax leather sewing thread. So it's just like a wax thread that's decently thick, and that's how it can get all kinds of different colors and everything like that. And so, um, yeah, you just gotta tie it and whip it. It takes me, I don't know, depending on how many stripes, if there's stripes or not. It's only like 5 to 7 minutes. It's not super time consuming. It's just very repetitive of literally wiping or wrapping the string around and then looping it to where you can tie it. And um it just, the string's only what, like a couple millimeters thick, and so I got to get it, 3 inches of whip. So however many millimeters fit in that
And,
3 inches is how many times I got to whip it.
it tapers in as you get further from the club head. Is that because you're just putting more around the base? And so that's more whip around the base, like where the shaft actually connects with the club, or is that, or the club head, or is there wood behind that?
So I mean, a shaft will go into a persimmon head about 3 to 4 inches deep.
Okay.
So it's not like a modern club where you only need an inch with some epoxy. It's in there fairly deep. And so as I like to call it fluting, is, it gets thinner to the top as it
Mhm.
flutes its way up. It's mainly just for look. I mean, it makes it smooth into the club head. Anything beyond that, I wouldn't know. I'm sure there's another reason, but I don't know.
But so all
Um,
that thickness at the bottom is just extra layers of that to get to the.
oh no, it's wood. It's
Okay,
all
okay,
wood.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
So
oh
the actual
gosh, that's a
shape of the wood,
ton.
I mean, we're on a podcast, so visually for anyone listening, it doesn't work, but yeah, it's all wood.
Okay, okay. So where the,
Um,
and I guess what do you call that? Like the neck of the club head, maybe?
yeah.
Okay,
Yep, that's the neck.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you did 120 of those, and that was just one job?
Yep. Yeah. That was one job, and I think I had about 3 months to do it, which is not enough time. I bit off a little more than I could chew, but it paid for the chipping green in my backyard, so
Okay,
that
nice.
was nice.
Which it's funny you
uh,
mentioned that because I had a phone call today with somebody about putting one of those in at my house, and I have an idea of what those cost. So that was a
yep.
great job for you.
My backyard's not big, so it really wasn't that bad. But it was, yeah, that's a project I'll never do again. I don't ever want to do that many refinishes ever again. But that was a little bit before I was able to finally make my own. So, when I started it, it was just refinishing, it was making everyone's wood looks pretty and functional and getting rid of the paint and showing the grain and really just showing off the lumber that you've got. And the goal was always to make my own. And finding these tools is impossible, really, because the people that have them use them, and then there's no other ones. So I mean, there's 4 or 5 of us in the U.S. that still build persimmons, being John Hayes, Nim Brand, David Bass, Todd Dempsey, and myself. And I'm really hoping I'm not forgetting anyone. I'll feel terrible, but those are like the quote unquote big names, not including myself, but those guys have been super helpful to me. I can call any of them at any point and ask a question if I need to, and they're always more than happy to help. But when it comes to, hey, do you have an extra uh, jig to route out the sole plates? No, 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 we don't.
Wow.
Which, I mean, if I'm in their shoes, I don't have an extra one either
Yeah.
now.
You're
So,
all on a group
you know,
text together?
oh no, all those guys are much older. I don't know if
Okay.
they really know what the group text is. Man, I hope they don't listen to this and think I'm an asshole. But there's still a couple of places. Louisville Golf still makes heads, and then another factory I'm not going to name for secrecy. I'm able to get the things that I need to make my own heads, and so I get them with the sole plates in. and the faceplate in and the score lines done. And then from there, it's super rough. So I hand shape them just with a rotary sander and
Okay.
then a piece of sandpaper in my hand. And I hand shape them and then throw in all the weights wherever the customer may want it or the way I like it. I use an old Titleist driver that was my absolute favorite. That's my base for swing weight and head weight and things like that because I want it to be just like that. Um, and so it's turned into really fun. I think I sold about 50 of them since I started making them.
Okay. Are they all fully custom, or do you have some that you just sell that are it's just like your rack version of a persimmon?
So majority are custom, and when I say custom, they got to pick like their stain color and whip color.
Okay.
And then I've done Sweetens Cove, got 4, 5.
Okay.
I think it was 4 for the shop and 1 for Adamski. So, did some Sweetens Cove ones, so I'm able to laser engrave logos on the bottom. So did Sweetens Cove. I've done some for smaller companies, just one-offs for guys with their logo on it, and I always put my logo on it too because I made it. And then really cool, and I got the okay to talk about this one because I have 2 projects going on right now. You will find Larsen drivers at the new Rodeo Dunes.
That's cool. Congratulations. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So there'll be 10 or 12 of them there. All Rodeo Dune stuff with the logo and everything.
Did they reach out to you?
Yeah, we can say that. I won't reveal the secrets, but that order's in and in production. So, um, when I start to be able to get something interesting, I'll start posting about it. And once I get the okay, I got the okay to just say that they're going to be there.
Yeah.
So, that's super exciting. And then there's another project that I have not heard from. So, I can't really talk about it, but you most certainly will see it by the end of next month, a couple weeks after this episode comes out. I'm making some woods for some very, very, very impressive people, or person.
Okay.
And, it's an insane honor and it's going to be really cool. So I wish I could talk about it, but
Yeah,
I
no,
can't.
that's exciting. It'll be fun to keep up with that as it progresses.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rodeo Dunes thing is cool enough as is, but and it's obviously you're not gonna we don't want to reveal where you're getting those heads from. So you said the score lines are in, and that's the score lines are like the lines cut into the face of the club, correct?
Yeah. It is essentially your grooves. Yeah.
And so that comes to you, and it's not a block of wood, but it is cut a little bit, kind of looks like the club head of a persimmon, and then you're going to take it and sand it, mold it how you like, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And so what is that entire process from the moment that arrives to you? Is that something it takes you a few weeks to assemble and put together? I mean, if I understand that if you're going to laser engrave and there's all kinds of different customization, that's going to take more time. But what does the timeline look like from start to finish to building a persimmon?
Well, so if I had no other obligation in my life, no dog, no wife, no wanting to go play golf and drink beer and eat
Not in
tacos,
that order.
and
You meant to say your
and
wife before the dog.
sure, uh, and no full-time job that can be taxing at times. I could make one and turn it around in, I don't know, 3 days, depending on the weather. If it's kind of rainy or crappy, because I dry everything outside. Um,
Okay.
you know, and that's in a perfect world of this is my full-time job and the only thing I ever have to do. So in reality, it takes a couple of weeks just because I get to chip away at things.
Yeah.
I tell customers it's anywhere between, 6 to 9 weeks. Um, just because that gives me time if I get home and I'm tired and can't focus up, like I'm not gonna go and put out a subpar product just to rush it.
Yeah.
Um, but all in all, if you were to, set a timer like a chessboard or something like that, it's probably, 5 or 6 hours of work, in total. And, It goes with shafting it, putting in all the weights, melting the lead, drilling the holes, engraving, which is easy. I just set it in a computer and hit go, and I don't have to do anything from there. But the shaping takes a bit, making sure that the line is nice and smooth and clean and not wavy and crappy, and then when you put on stain, if it's a darker stain, if you didn't sand it perfectly, it's going to be a little glob spots. Then I have to go through and sand it again and do all this, which is why I typically like to do lighter colors. It's way less sanding.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and so, um, to give away the secret of it, it doesn't take that much time, but I need that amount of time because life gets in the way. So,
Well, and it sounds like
you
there's
know,
some meticulousness to it, which you have the background from the cabinetry work that you were doing and finishing on those products. You've kind of grown up around it and understand the details that go into it and making sure everything is exactly right. You mentioned drying the items outside. Are there climate impacts to the persimmon before it's finished or no?
I mean, extremely there could be in theory, but I'm lucky enough to live in North County, San Diego, where it's typically 75 degrees and sunny. And so when I say dry it, I mean I'm drying like the lacquer that goes on the coat on the outside.
Okay. Okay.
The wood itself, when it comes to me, has already been kiln drying. And if I want it to, it can be oil hardened. That just takes a little bit longer, but no, I mean it's not drying out the wood like a piece of beef jerky or anything. It's just the lacquer. So
Okay.
to put on multiple coats, 45 minutes in between each coat. It's nice and breezy in my backyard, so it helps dry it faster. And then full cure, it's 24 hours, and that can happen in the garage. But I like to put about 4 coats of lacquer on it, and then depending on what it's being used for, if it's a show piece, that's totally fine. If it's a playing piece, I'll put on some of this like really high end furniture wax um, that mutes the color a little bit because I don't like making anything shiny. So everything's a satin base.
Okay.
This will kind of give it more of a matte finish, and then it protects it a little bit more. Um, and then that's how I can do like a lot of like quick refinishes is just with that wax. It's called brie wax. It's awesome. And it gets pretty darn hard. And so like some brass clubs I made a couple of 3 woods, and the guy burned through the finish hitting off of mats. And it's like, well, it's expected. And he wasn't mad about it. I was more upset about it than anything. So I sanded and cleaned the bottom, lacquered the wood side of it, and then used that wax. And he's been hitting it off the brass and no marks, nothing. So it's been phenomenal to see. And just do kind of tricky things like that. It's hard to explain without it in my hands, and then sometimes I can't even explain it. I just know how to do it. But yeah, I mean,
So
there's so many different ways you can go with it.
yeah, well, and it's fascinating to me that you chasing the course record at Goat Hill is kind of what led to this. Like,
Oh, I wasn't chasing the course record at all. No,
no, oh
not a
no, okay,
chance.
but you wanted to play persimmons
No,
because of that, and that's kind of how this all came to be.
no, they're just more fun.
Oh,
It
okay,
was yeah, it was I want to say it was a persimmon tournament, and they're more fun. I honestly I hit persimmons better than I do a modern driver. Like, not even a question. Robbie's seen it. Everyone, I played layman my whole trip I did last year with Ryan O'Mara. I only played persimmon. So all of last year it was pure persimmon the whole time until I got the mini driver, and that's the most modern club driver wood that I've hit. Um, I don't play 3 wood or hybrid or any of that kind of stuff.
okay.
So
So if I'm ever playing around you and I just need to listen for that thwack, and I'll know that it's
yeah,
you.
yes, you would. I mean, I do have the mini now, and the mini's been really fun, and I've noticed a little bit of lower scores with the mini. So, the mini's not going anywhere, but if we're just having fun, out playing, it's probably going to be persimmon.
Okay. So it's interesting to me that you mentioned that there's 4 other gentlemen that are kind of left in the country doing this. Do you feel like it's a dying art?
Oh, it's 100% is. It definitely is. It's growing back. I mean, you see a lot more dudes trying to refinish their own or trying to figure out how to make them. So it's it's dying, but that adrenaline shot's been thrown into the thigh a little bit. So it's by no means dead or over with, but mass production, big things like that, you're not gonna see. But dudes like John Hayes, he just posted a picture today, doing a collab with BB and FCO, and he made the sole plate, the metal aluminum pieces look like a ferrule. And this dude does incredibly intricate sole plates and face designs. I don't know how the hell he does it. It's got to be a little tiny hand router or something, but he does some incredible things mixing metal and wood and all this really cool, fancy, super bespoke one-off things that you won't see it anywhere else. So you guys like that, and then you guys like Nim Brand or David Bass or myself or Todd. There's more traditional, old school Persimmons, regular sole plate, nice face plate, and typical stains. I do a few in a white stain that I really like. It looks like it's just like a dead raw piece of wood, and
Yeah.
anytime I bring one of those out, people are like, is that even finished? I'm like, yeah, it's done. So that's like the most different thing I do other than the different color whips, which a lot of the old heads don't like, but that's fine. It's not your club. So, yeah, I mean, it's dying but not dead, I think is the best way to give a long-winded answer there.
So a cool thing that my father-in-law's done for me lately, a couple years ago, he gave me an old Odie Chrisman chipper that's got like a hickory shaft in it, and then year
Yeah.
before last he gave me a persimmon, and he saw how I reacted, and so since then now he just finds vintage things to give me, which is a lot of fun. But
Heck yeah.
the when I go in, like my local thrift store, I was in there just a week or so ago, and I saw a rack of clubs that were persimmons. I mean, I picked them up. They looked just beat to hell, but I don't know what to look for. Are there brands and quality products that if I go back in that thrift store and find those names that I should look for things to try and snag if they're there? Or is it kind of they're all still the same? They're all persimmon. They're all 100 years old. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but are there things to look for?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain brands and names and then wood types. I mean, a lot of people will mistake like a laminate head for a persimmon when it's actually maple laminate. So if you look at the face and it looks like like the side of a skateboard, multiple layers, like a piece of plywood,
Yeah.
that's a laminate wood. They started making those in the 80s because persimmon was getting expensive. They were running out of it. It kind of has like they still perform extremely well. It's by no means like a worse product, but when it comes to value, quote unquote,
Hmm.
they're nowhere near as valuable. They were kind of the cheaper solution to woods. And
Okay.
if you see those at a thrift store, they're not worth nothing. They'll probably hit really well. Like a lot of the Ping, actually, I don't think Ping ever made a full persimmon. So the Ping persimmons are actually laminate.
Interesting.
And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different construction. But if you you want to see McGregor's, if you see like Tony Penna on anything, um, if you see like Byron Nelson on anything, this is going to be pretty good. Obviously, Ben Hogan, a lot of the Hogan woods are really good. If you ever see a McGregor M85, grab that. Those are some of the nicest ones they ever did. Obviously, when you get into players, if you see like a Jack Nicklaus one, if it's a full persimmon, those are a little bit more rare. They're not necessarily like worth anything, but they're just cooler. Um, there's so many of them that it's hard to kind of narrow it down.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Stan Thompson's are really cool. He was in Beverly Hills for years. He made a bunch of really cool, weird things, and so kind of just stuff. I mean, if you see Titleist too, Titleist didn't make too many, and they're really good. So
I didn't
Titleist is
even know
always a fun
Titleist
one.
made them. That's fascinating. Okay.
So Joe Powell's actually another name, which if you found one of those at a thrift shop, I'd be shocked. But Joe Powell is one who actually made heavy majority of the Titleist persimmons with the Titleist name on it.
Okay.
You'll find a lot of Titleist laminates too, but if you find a full Titleist persimmon, it was probably made by Joe Powell, and those are super sick. So Callaway had a couple persimmons, not too many. If you see one of those, that's more than likely going to look like it has a hickory shaft, in which it technically is, but at the same time it has a metal rod through the hickory shaft,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. They call them like the long driver. I've got one, and I only kept it because the way that they came up with that shaft was so interesting. It was, Eli Callaway was trying to figure out how to keep the hickory shaft straight, and so they found, or Matt, I don't remember how, but it was a Japanese pool cue maker, and like, can you make us golf shafts? And he's like, well, yeah, we could figure this out. And they found a way to get a small metal rod through hickory shaft and keep it straighter for longer. And then,
That's wild.
steel shafts, and it's cool. So like I kept that because it's an awesome little piece of history. At the time they made a ton of them, but um, steel shafts started coming around in the 20s and then really replaced hickory in the 30s.
Okay.
Which a lot of people were kind of shocked by. I know I was. I didn't think steel shafts would be around that soon. But when it comes to looking for things, it's just find whatever's cool to you. It feels good. It looks good. It's not often you're going to find a holy grail.
Okay.
In a thrift shop, but I mean out Kentucky area, something like that. I mean, the thrift shops around here suck for Persimmons, which you'd be surprised at being in San Diego, but you totally can find it. And if you ever see something, just text me. I'll tell you.
Well, and like that half
cool.
set that I bought from you. Yeah. Like that half set that I bought from you. I wanna complete that with Persimmons. And I want to have that in a walking bag that I can just loop around Sweetens or whatever just to
There you go.
have some fun with. And so I've been looking at stuff because my wife wants to put the ones for my father-in-law like on display, just like put them
Yeah.
on shelves and stuff in the house, which I'm fine with, but I want to be able to take them out and hit them. I'm going to send you pictures and you tell me if I should hit them or not. But it's fun to just go look at those old clubs and kind of reminisce and try and take yourself back as much as you can to what the game was like before the solid core ball and these 460cc drivers that go forever. So there's something about just there's something romantic about it, right?
Yeah, it makes the game harder too. I mean, it makes you a better player. You'll see parts of the course you've never seen. There's a wow factor when you play them real well. People gather around the tee box to watch you hit it, which can be nerving to some. I've gotten used to it over the years, but like, the biggest thing is like, oh, you actually play that? It's like, yeah. Like, what you think it's like the donut weight where it's really heavy? I'm using it as like a weight club. Like, no, this is my driver.
Right.
I'll see you down the fairway. I can get it 250, which is an absolute thump with a persimmon. And
Yeah, that's hammer.
to be fair to that, also I do have a UST EMEA Super 76, the Lakers shaft in my persimmon. So, but I've been putting modern shafts in some of these heads, and the performance is insane. And I get, what ball do you play? Do you use a softball? Yeah, I use Pro V1 or TB5X, like no problem. Not a big deal. When you have older persimmons, you got to be careful with it a little bit. Older epoxy will break and things like that. But,
Okay.
Any of the new stuff, use whatever ball, it doesn't matter. I hate soft golf balls, so I'd rather sacrifice probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 yards off the tee and be able to play my irons and wedges the way I want than, use a soft ball. Because I don't like the feel of them, except for hickories, but you have to with hickories. You cannot play a hard ball with hickory. But,
Right.
but yeah, that's a huge question I get all the times. What ball do I use? Like, use whatever you want, play at your own risk. Even a new persimmon can break, but
And is that because of an imperfection in the wood or just over time that happens?
Probably more both. I wouldn't say over time it happens because I mean, there's clubs that are 100+ years old that still work just fine. But yeah, it'd probably be some imperfection, a carbon spot or something in the wood. It could have dried out and cracked. It could, the grain went a certain direction and a crack went down. And it's like a piece of furniture.
Okay.
Eventually it'll break or it might not. It's every single club head's different. They call it a repeater is what it's made in because it repeats the shape, but that individual head it's a snowflake. It's different than every other one that it's next to.
Yeah, the furniture analogy is great. Like that like a light bulb just kind of went off in my head when you said that. I mean, we've talked about this for a long time now, but that makes complete sense of like, yeah, it might last forever, or there might just be something, a little nick in it, and that happens, and then that leads to a crack and it breaks. That, yeah, makes complete sense.
Yeah, or you go somewhere super hot and humid and then go somewhere cold, the wood shrinks or it expands and the insert's a little bit off. The sole plates either shrunk in or kind of bulging out because the head shrunk. I mean, it's a piece of wood. At one point it was a living thing and it's still somewhat living after the fact, depending on where you take it in your climates. And Oil hardened ones don't do that as much. They'll soak it in like a linseed oil for like a week, and it basically turns it into a hammer. Like you can literally put a nail in other wood with those when you oil harden them. They get
Wow.
rock hard.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And that's the wood. So people, they've tried heads with ash, which is typically what like bats are made out of. Didn't work as well. It's just persimmon is so tight and hard naturally that it was the best for heads, and hickory shafts were the best for shafts because they're super strong but flexible. Um, and it's a whole other world compared to the modern stuff where it's like, oh, we got this new AI face. Like, okay, cool. Like I used my hand in a file.
Right.
Now, again, we'll see who's in the middle of the fairway at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love your passion for it. It's unique, and it's like we talked about that it's something it's kind of a dying art, and I love that you've built a business. I'd say it'd be insulting to call it a side hustle because I think it's more than a side hustle. But you built a business off of it, and the laser engraving work that you've done, like I've seen the ones that you had at Sweetens Cove. I mean, like you said, any logo you can put on there and it looks beautiful. And I did notice when I first saw the ones at Sweetens that they were all satin. There was nothing glossy about them. They were not shiny. And
Yep.
to your point, it does create almost an unfinished look, but they are finished and they look fantastic. I love the look of them. I don't like anything that glistens or shines. And just the different logos you can do. It's all really, really cool.
Yeah, I like to let the wood speak for itself. That was one thing when I first started refinishing. I was like, I always liked it the most when I got one that was painted. And the reason they painted them is there was some imperfection in the grain, whether it be a carbon spot or the grain kind of wiggled somewhere that it didn't like. And because when you break down the grains, there are better grain patterns than others. The tighter the grain, the better. The more the like circle of the ring gets to the actual top of the club, like the toe, the better it is in theory. So you want to see like a continuous ring going all the way to the toe is kind of the ideal
Okay.
piece. And so back in the day, if they had something that was just a little bit off or had again a carbon spot or something, they would paint it. And a lot of them looked great. Don't get me wrong. They look good. They put like the decal on top or whatever, and they look great. But to me, I'd like to have that wood speak and show off the grain, especially if it's crazy. I love a crazy grained driver. I'm working on one right now that I've posted a couple of times. It has probably the sickest grain I've ever seen, and that makes it a lot of fun. And so, like my first run of Larsen heads were all usable reject Ben Hogan turns. So they were old heads
Wow.
that were turned already, and they were what they called a usable reject. So like they didn't have any deficiency to playing it, but they didn't have the grain that they wanted. They didn't have that perfect grain. And so I've gotten to have a few that just have this wild pattern going in different directions, which is super sick and what I really like. And everyone who's bought one's loved it. So it's been fun. And I sold through those, and I think I've got the collector's number. I think he saved 40 of them for me. So I might be able to get some more. Um, but it's been a lot of fun be able to do some really cool things. And then I mean all the artwork, I do that myself also. So like the Palmer logo, or I did this tiger the other day, or it was a cougar or something, I don't know, it was a wildcat with my name over it, and it's like, I'll just do that. I've done uh the PowerBilt logo is fun. The shirts over there is like the the more paint or whatever, painting over a persimmon out of a cup was fun. And just being able to do literally whatever I want has always been a blast. And I tried apparel and doing all that. It was just a pain in the ass, so I got rid of that. We're just going to focus on the woods, and mainly this year is just doing more of accounts and more sales like that than individual custom orders, because frankly I got tired of really annoying people um you know wanting things before that they were done and
Right.
inside a time frame that I gave. And it's like, dude, I told you it was going to be this long. It's only been half that time. No, it's not done. Like, I get people get super excited. I understand that, but you gotta let me do my thing. I've got a life beyond it. But it's way more exciting now to be able to do something like Rodeo Dunes or this other project. And hopefully now that Sweetens is down to just one, do some more for Sweetens. You got the Landman hat on right there. I would kill to do some Landman ones. Just hopefully get him some other courses and do some things like that, rather than, individual one-off customs where, you get to pick everything that you want.
Right.
And then I'll do some stock ones and just pick what I want. And, if you want it, you can buy it, kind of thing.
How many are you doing for Rodeo Dunes?
12.
Okay. And so
Yeah,
those are 12 of 12. When they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, unless they reorder.
Yeah.
So.
Right. If you're listening to Rodeo Dunes, you're going to need to go ahead and place the next order because they're going to be gone.
Yeah. So we're hoping for that. It's going to be really cool. I'm hoping it leads into, Bandon or any of the other dream courses would be awesome. We got invited up as Larsen Golf to the 25th anniversary for Bandon and had a booth and got to play shorties on opening day and was at the whole event and selling Persimmons and stuff. So I've been lucky enough to go there a few times. I mean, there's Old Max above my head and the rest of them are across the way. So again, not good for an audio podcast. I'm pointing at my background, but it's been cool to be able to do these things and make stuff for these courses and be able to go see them and meet the people and I love traveling and playing golf and showing off what I've made.
So if you had to pick one golf course, you can only choose one to play for the rest of your life, what golf course would that be?
Oh man. Let's see. A year ago, I would have said Goat Hill. After a trip, now are you talking? I'd have to move there, and I have to take the weather that it has
No,
year round, or
you don't have to move there, but you can only play this golf course, and we can move that golf course to where you live.
Oh, it'd be Landman. You put Landman in San Diego, it's over. Yeah, I mean, anything that Rob Collins has been a part of. So I was fortunate enough to go fly into Tennessee, go play Sweetens for 2 days, drive all the way up to Homer, Nebraska with a bunch of stops in between, and then play at the Cooler last year. And so I got to play 2 King Collins courses while meeting and hanging out with them.
Yeah.
At both places, funny enough. And then, seeing Old Dane as it's being built. So hoping this year that it's ready and we get to go play Old Dane also. So anything that he's built, I'm in. I'm sold. But yeah, it'd be Landman for sure. That course is unbelievable. The people made it special too, but I had to force myself to stop and just look and soak it in. And there's a video that came out not too long ago. I think it was like Sticks or something like that. They made a cool little recap video.
Yeah.
And unbelievable. I forced my wife to watch it. And I almost teared up just going like, yeah, like that video is the closest you could get to any kind of not being there in person giving it justice.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they shot it was the closest I think you could get, because it's heaven on earth out there in nowhere, Nebraska. It's a very, very cool place. And it was before that, it would have been Goat, it would have been Bandon, it would have been Chambers Bay or something like that, but Landman takes the cake.
Great
bar
answer.
none.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite club in the bag right now?
My 54-degree wedge has always been my baby. Other than that, yeah, it's the 54-degrry wedge.
Okay, it might be the first time anyone's ever said the wedge. Ask that question. That's a fascinating answer.
Oh, I'd rather hit a wedge shot than putt anytime.
Really?
If it's not a tournament, I'll do the smart play and putt it. It's 6 inches onto the fringe, but I won't want to.
Okay.
No, I love chipping. I love chipping more than anything. I'm pretty darn good at it. Yeah, it's the wedge for sure. I mean, I had 2 eagles from 45 yards out and back-to-back rounds at Goat on number 1 with that wedge. So,
whoa, okay.
2 different hole locations, 2 different weeks, same result. Was pretty cool.
So you would follow I don't know if you saw the story recently, the Lou Holtz method, because he was a member at Augusta National, and he passed away in the past week or so. But
Mhm.
on number 12, he would lay up and then would chip over Ray's Creek instead of trying to hit a longer
Hey,
shot. So that would be your your plan of attack as well. So you could put the 54 in your hand.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, no, but I wouldn't be upset if I fell short and had to do that chip.
Okay.
You know, if I was ever lucky enough to play Augusta, I would probably do that just to say, I got to chip over Ray's Creek, something like that. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think I ever intentionally play a whole two chip,
Okay.
but I'm never upset if something rolls off the green and is, 5, 6 feet off the green, short or whatever. I'm not like, oh goddamn, like, all right, sick, I got the chip, let's go. You know. You don't see too many chip reactions out of me if I make it. Um, it sounds like I'm tooting a horn, but I do it enough to where it's kind of like, all right, cool, next made it,
Yeah.
sick,
Normal. All right. Let's go on to the next hole.
yeah, and everyone freaks out around. They're like, "Why are you celebrating?" Like, because I've done it.
It's a normal
Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah, I expected that to happen. It doesn't. Again, I'm not trying to toot a horn, but a true story is a true story.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, that's definitely my favorite. I pulled that club out of the bag with confidence every single time.
Do you ever hit to that yardage intentionally?
Um, well, I don't full swing that club. I
Okay.
don't full swing any of my wedges.
Okay.
Um, the longest I would hit that 54 is probably 60 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Um,
I might need to just talk to you about wedges because I'm gonna order some from you anyway, but that
yeah.
might be a method that I should put in play.
Yeah, like if I've got my yardages are very different than most people who play it, like a 3-4 handicap where I'm at. Like my 7 iron's a $150 stock. That's
Okay.
where I'm at. I don't hit the ball far. My pitching wedge is 120 when I muscle it, but I'll use the pitching wedge at 100 yards and kind of stab it into the ground and send it 100 yards every time. Like I know where that ball is going to go. And so when it like 60-degree wedge, you'll never see me full swing it ever, ever, ever.
Okay.
50-degree, I will, and 54 is more of like a pitch shot
Okay.
than a full swing. It'll be 60 yards if there's wind at my back, maybe 80, but
And you're stopping it on a
um,
dime, aren't you?
pretty much, yeah, or ripping it off the face of the earth, depending on the greens. Yeah, that happens at goat quite a bit. You hit a green and just see ya.
Right.
So no, wedges are I love hitting wedges more than anything. That's why I put a chipping green in my backyard.
Yeah, that's all.
So I'm glad I was the first one to say that. For all you other cowards who like your driver,
Right, right.
yeah, whatever.
Uh, man, this has been a lot of fun. It's been great to meet you and chat, and loved hearing about what you've built with Larsen Golf, and everything you've got going with PowerBilt. It's a really cool kind of vocation that you ended up in just by virtue of loving the game of golf, and then you get to help build a brand that is something somewhat nostalgic, that is putting incredible technology out again, and you still have your side business of building the Persimmons that you love so much. So it's I envy your day to day. I'm sure there's stressors like we all have, but it's got to be refreshing for you to be able to sit down and look at clubs all day and kind of nerd out with something that you love.
Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes I'll just sit in the garage in the shop and just stare at the persimmon wall and kind of. It's fun when people come over. Hardenbrook and Colt got to come over and see it, and they're like, "Jesus Christ," Um, so I get to pick through and talk about all the cool ones that I have, and I'm very lucky. I don't know how I find myself into these spots, but just being able to know people and talk to people and hang out, and I've been very lucky to get to where I'm at, and not to say it hasn't been hard work, but it's I'm very, very fortunate and glad that I've got a really cool wife who, is supportive of it as much as she might talk shit about it. She's gone out and she took a trip to LA and she came back with like 30 persimmons because she stopped at like 7 Goodwills and found them all. So, she's into it.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah. And her niece is 13. I taught her basically how to refinish one, put a sander in her hand and had her grind out, like, she likes to play. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. And and bring out a different side of golf that most people don't want to see until they see it.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm too scared to hit it. It's pretty. I'm like, it's a tool.
Right.
You know, hit it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in your hands if I didn't think you could hit it. And now there are the people who go, can I hit it? I'm like, no, you cannot. You know, but
This is not going to end well.
yeah, no, that's going to be a nice chunk out of or I'm going to have to refinish that whole damn thing because of your dummy mark.
Right.
You know, but they're tools, not jewels. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited for what's coming up. It's I don't know if any of you guys are ready for it.
That's exciting.
I'm not. So
Right.
yeah. So I mean, what today is the 8th.
Yeah.
In the future, that event and those woods need to be done. I'll be in a location later that month for that
Okay.
event.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to
Yeah.
have to pull up the calendar and try and do some detective work and figure out what it might be.
Good luck. I don't think it's super publicized.
Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, it's gonna be super fun. I got a lot of really cool things happening this year. I got reinvited to the cooler, which is phenomenal. Gonna be able to get back to Landman this year, and hang out with everybody. Hopefully, you're gonna be there this year.
Yeah,
Robbie will be
we
there.
will have to play together.
Oh, that's for certain. And then doing the Layer Up Invitational at Portland, Oregon. It's the Jones Foresters event. That's going to be fun. So actually, when this episode comes out, we just played it. It's that weekend before this comes out. And yeah, my wife wants to go to Sweden, so we'll see if we can make that happen too.
Yeah, we would love to make that happen. It's a special play.
I need to get back out there. It's so fun. We got to play it in poured down rain, and it was soppy shitty, and then it was the Blackjack Open, and it dried up real quick. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That event looked great. It looked like it was a blast.
We got brought watered.
I saw that video. I saw the video of you getting brought watered with a mirror, right?
With a mirror, we got brought watered.
Which,
funny thing
for the
is,
listeners, tell them what that means.
Well, let's go with first off. Hardenbrook likes to show that video, but he doesn't show all the merch he had to buy me from the first round that he lost.
Okay.
So let that be known. It was a 1-1 split. We just lost the shittier bet.
Yeah, you did.
The entire
wide
time,
margin.
I don't know. I got some sick hats out of it. It was pretty warm. The water is fine.
Okay.
But so he said brought water. And so in my head, the entire round we're playing, I'm thinking it's literally from the food truck, like the hot dog water.
Right.
And I'm thinking that the whole time. And so Ryan and I are losing. And I'm like, it's not going to be that bad. We'll just stink like a hot dog until we can take a shower or whatever. And when we get up there and he starts undoing this hose, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, this is the brought water. I was like, oh, easy. Okay, whatever. You know, and Ryan gets sprayed and he throws teas at him. And I was like, I'm just going to wear this. I'm going to wear this the whole time. I'm just going to stand there. And I forgot his name, who we played with. He was our partner in the event too. And he just sprayed me in the face and then just sprayed me right in the... I'm like, dude, you couldn't, like... This wouldn't be bad if you didn't soak my underwear.
Right.
Like, everything else would have been fine.
Right.
Like, I don't care about the shorts. I don't care about the shoes and chain, whatever. But you soaked my underwear, bro. Come on. So, yeah, it was a badge of honor getting the brought water. I'm not upset about it. I was way more happy about it being hose water than freaking actual hot dog water, which is what I thought it was. I swear, I thought it was for at least 7 holes. I thought it was hot dog water. So,
which would be that would be
that would be awful.
Horrendous.
Yeah, that would be really bad. So the hose water is not bad. So take that bet, and whoever wins it next, just soak Hardenbrook to the bone. You know, which I mean, we all know him, we love him. He's a tough one to beat. He's a tough cookie to crack, but.
Correct. And you're going to win or lose that match before a peg is in the ground, depending on what has been negotiated in terms of handicaps.
Yep, there's that. And then, whenever I play a match regardless, I hate handicaps. I think handicaps are so silly. I understand them for certain things, but like if I'm playing you, I'm playing you. I'm not playing your strokes. So like my father-in-law, he's always like, "You gonna give me strokes?" Like, no, I'm not giving you anything. Not a chance. Because if you were to win, even with your 15 strokes, I would never hear the end of it when I actually beat you by 12 strokes
Right.
in reality.
Right.
Like, no. And I don't want you to give me your strokes either. I'm not getting many,
Right.
but I don't want them. I don't want them, you know? But that's just me being a snob of golf. But, you know, they have their place. I get it. It makes sense. It's just in a perfect world, I think it should be mono. But, you know, and you got a 5 and a 20 playing each other, it's not as fun because the 5's going to win every time. You know, it has its place.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that's what really grinds my gears. Peter Griffin.
Trevor, thank you for taking time to come on the show. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you at the cooler later this year.
Yes.
And of course, keeping up with all your exciting news with Larsen Golf, and of course everything you're doing with PowerBilt. I can't wait to see the news of your other partnership that's going to be coming out relatively soon. So we will be watching for that. But thanks for taking time to come on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun. Always happy to come on if you need something. Looking forward to making the season 2 shirt.
You're going to be on it.
And I'm excited for that. The season 1 shirt was awesome. You know, I've been peeking through the episodes and listening, and you know, next one's going to be listening to myself talk, which is going to be fairly normal. So,
well, I hope you enjoyed it. It's been great chatting with you.
yeah, likewise, man. Enjoy it, and yeah, excited for it to come out.
Yeah. Well, for Trevor Larsen, I'm Josh Stecker, and this has been another episode of Off the Deck.
Yeehaw, brother.